It's an interesting discussion in the stand-up comedy community because a lot of comics are trying to game the algorithm. And you hear these discussions. Like I was talking to a friend of mine that was telling me about these comics at the Cellar that were having this conversation where they were trying to figure out, like, this is what you do to get the algorithm. This is what you do to go viral. This is what you do. And this comic who's like an established comic was like, this is fucking gross. I don't want to have any part of this. Like, why? Just make the best shit you can make. Like, don't do this. And so then you see people that become sort of captured by this idea. Like, you see, there's some guys that do it where it's like, it's an art form, like Mr.BEAST. He's figured out how to do it in a way that's like really kind of fascinating because he really knows what words to use, what images to use, like, and there's an actual science to it.
Oh yeah, he is a weird and interesting guy. Like watching his interview with Lex, the way that his brain works, it's like everything is being processed through how does this play to the algorithm.
Yeah.
And it slightly unnerved me a little bit. I think that, he just seemed like, I got this sense, and he seems like a great guy and like super smart and, obviously, but it seems like he felt like, oh, I don't even necessarily know if this is worth my time to even be doing this interview right now because I don't know how many views it's going to get. And I don't know like how it's going to play to the out because his time is he knows how much he can make every second of the day spending on a video. And like, so if he's going to go do an interview with another smaller YouTuber, like that's impacting his rev.
Right.
And I think that's dangerous to let that control the content that you create. It's backwards. Like like the comic was saying, it's like, do the thing that you do as best as you can possibly do it. Don't make the algorithm, like, I guess you could, if the algorithm is your thing, if that's what you want to be the passion of your, like, I guess maybe some people do love it, but it seems a little bit inverted.
It's a little bit inverted, but that's also, I mean, he does so much good. And it's so interesting to watch him do the thing. I mean, I get it because, like, his content is fantastic. So what he's trying to do is maximize the reach of his content. And so it's just clever.
Oh yeah, the blind, curing the blind people. I mean, that we need more of that.
What's wild is he got hate for that.
Right.
But
what was the hate specifically?
Who gives a fuck? Yeah. But it's just funny because you cannot do anything that won't piss someone off because people are engaged in recreational outrage. And that's what they're doing. And they're trying to figure out an angle. Oh, this rich guy's doing this thing, and really he shouldn't even be rich. No one should be rich. And blah, blah, blah. No. Oh, you're just trying to do this to make yourself look good. There's all these angles that people will take on things, which is their prerogative. And in a world of free speech, the beauty of what, is the nature of the First Amendment is that you should be able to express yourself. And so I fully support those cunts to rag on him. For
how many blind people have you cured? I mean,
they're allowed to have their perspective on it. And yeah, I mean, obviously that's the take. Like, you're not doing anything, so shut the fuck up. But people who aren't doing anything are also allowed to chime in on stuff.
Yeah.
And they can look petty and they can look foolish, or they can have really good points. And that makes you. But that's the beauty of what we have today. There's so much dumb shit involved in social media, and there's so much bickering and hate, and there's so many people that are addicted to it, and it's elevated their anxiety level, and they're all on medication now because they're fucking tweeting 12 hours a day. There's a lot of that going on. But if you can figure out how to manage yourself and manage it, now we have access to information at an unprecedented level where, like, something like the Restrict Act gets picked apart by brilliant people on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on everything. And that's so valuable. So we have to figure out a way to preserve that. And it's to have this kind of thing today. It has never existed in human history. Never. Not one time has there been a time in human history where a person could tweet about a thing and it could be shared by millions of people, and all of a sudden the conversation about this subject changes. So you have a public narrative that's being pushed forth by these propagandists, and then someone comes along and says, actually, this is what's really going on. And then Twitter will fact check it, and then people will chime in. And this is a beautiful thing. I mean, it's really an amazing thing. So with all the bad that comes with social media and all the weird shit that it's doing to kids, it's just not good.